Welcome. This is Mitch Argon here, broker owner of Cal Leader Realty, and I am going to take you through a short presentation on what's happening in the real estate market throughout the region, Greater Reno-Tahoe, as of June 9th, 2020. Let's jump in. Okay, following a format that we've used in the prior months, let's take a look. Median price. Big thing, people are wondering about what's going to happen to pricing as a function of the coronavirus shelter-in-place directives. And you can see here that in May of 2020, just last month, compared to May of 2019, what the range is. Reno's down 5%. I don't think that's a trend. As you can see, the other markets were substantially were up 10%, up 9%, 1%, and so forth. Frimley's down 1%. These numbers do fluctuate a bit. Tahoe being down 28%. Again, there was only 2 homes sold in Tahoe in the south shore of Nevada in May of 2020. So that's not a big sample size. If you look at the last 6 months, you can see here we're still running on a pretty stable path. I don't expect pricing to change very much in terms of the trend of the trajectory, as I'll talk about here in just a few slides. Inventory is way down compared to a year ago. You can see we're down in the 30% range in Reno, Sparks, and Carson City, and Fernley, and then in the 20% range in Carson Valley and Dayton. It appears as though perhaps that the higher density areas have a little greater decrease in inventory. Inventory is down greater than these areas that are a little more rural. Homes sold. What we're looking at here is a big drop as well. And this drop that we see here on homes sold in May of 2020 compared to May of 2019 is a direct result of the shelter-in-place directives, where we saw home sales go down, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. So I would expect these numbers to probably be down in June compared to June of 2019, and probably July pretty much back on track, maybe even a little bit higher. Yeah, this is not a surprise, because we've been talking about pending numbers and homes going under contract, which is a leading indicator to what's happened in May. We've been doing that since March. Month supply of inventory, as you can see, is also down. The markets have continued to tighten up during the period of shelter in place that we're just coming out of now. So again, consistent with what we've seen in the trend line. Month's supply of inventory has gone down. Let's look at some COVID-19 impact and leading indicators. So this chart shows you pending sales, and this is throughout the region for all residential properties. Pending sales, which is the home going under contract. It's when an offer is accepted and an escrow gets opened. Typically, it would be a pending sale. This is region-wide. New listings are new homes that are coming on the market. This is all residential properties. As you can see, since the shelter in place on March 16th, we're almost 3 months into it. We are down in homes going under contract. It's down 7%. New listings, however, is down 32%. And you can see a visual of these two things down below. Now, the last 4 weeks tell a slightly different story, but the trend is the same. In the last 4 weeks, the pending sales, that's this row here, are actually up 26% compared to the same time in 2019. So we've seen not only a recovery, but an acceleration of demand and homes going under contract. We're at 26% over 2019 in the last 4 weeks. New listings in the last 4 weeks is down 26%. So what we've seen is a stronger uptick in demand than we have with supply, and that is what's led to this tightening of the market and things favoring a seller. If we look at this on a week-by-week basis, this chart we update every week now, and you can see that since the shelter in place, we kind of came down here into what is a V curve. This is the demand. This is pending homes sold. And as you can see, we're substantially up from where we were at the same time in 2019 over the last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. So on aggregate, the last 4 weeks, we're up 26% compared to 2019, as I just mentioned. New listings, A little flatter on the uptick, as we talked about. So you'll see here that we've been kind of bouncing around well below the range of 2019. Last week was a particularly strong week in new listings. It was almost equal to the same week in 2019. We had 340 last week. There was 350 new listings a year ago. And that's the closest we've been for a while towards getting back up to the same rate we were running in 2019. So what does this all this mean? We put it together. May and June sales volume will be down. We are absorbing essentially a V curve on demand, where we came down to a low point. At this point, we fully recovered, and but that's going to work its way through the system. So the decrease in new home pending contracts will show up in sales in May and June. I would expect that to be back on track and maybe even higher starting in July. Upward pressure on pricing due to the reduced inventory. We talked about that. The inventory curve is not a V curve. The inventory curve is more of an L curve, as they call it, where we've stayed at a suppressed rate for a longer period of time so far. So the net result of these two things is the markets have moved deeper into a seller market. With regards to COVID-19, I think I'm pretty confident in saying at this point that we really have a pretty good handle on what the impact has been from the shelter-in-place directives specifically. It's mostly behind us, as you can see in the charts. I do think we'll see listings start to come back to where they probably would be naturally. But the impact that we were kind of bracing for in terms of the real estate market is largely behind us, and you can see the numbers in the presentation here today. There are two factors I want to touch on briefly that are not fully told, and these are long-term factors. One of them is unemployment. As you know, unemployment is exceedingly high right now based on the shutdown, and that has the potential to adversely or negatively impact the housing markets because people aren't working and many companies aren't yet back fully online at 100%. So that will play out over a longer period of time, probably months and quarters, maybe a year or so. We just don't know how fast the unemployment picture will improve and get back to where it was, hopefully back to where it was. The other long-term factor is mortgage forbearance. This is a program that was introduced by the federal government. If you are not able to make your payment because of COVID-19 impact, your job, your business, then the government has put together a program that will give banks the backing from the government to give you forbearance on your loan for up to 12 months. That's not forgiveness. Forgiveness means that your loan payments go away. This is forbearance, meaning that you'll have to reconcile and pay this at some point, but you don't need to pay it in the immediate near term. So depending on how many people have taken mortgage forbearance, and depending on how many of those people are not able to get back on their feet over the next 10 to 12 months, that could have an adverse impact and could create a situation where we do see short sales or foreclosure activity. In the state of Nevada, it takes about 12 months to foreclose on a home once that process has started. So the term for mortgage forbearance that we could see impact on could be anywhere from 12 to 24 to 36 months. So there's potential for impact way down the line beyond where we are today and looking at simply the impact from the shelter in place. Okay, again, my name is Mitch Argon. I hope this has been useful for you. I'm a broker owner at Calneva Realty. We have offices in Minden and Douglas County and Midtown Reno up in Washoe County. Okay, so we got about 30 plus agents in our group. We service people throughout the region. If you have any questions on anything here, please feel free to reach out. You can send an email, you can post on YouTube, you can call the agent who may be helping you right now. We'd be happy to help you further with anything we can regarding real estate. This is intended to help you keep track of what's going on in the real estate market so you can make informed decisions. Below the YouTube video here, there's a link to the Greater Reno-Tahoe Real Estate Report, which contains much of the information in this video and a lot more, if you are so inclined to want to look at that. Until next month, thanks for watching and have a great day. Okay, be safe and be good.